Well, guys, how is everybody doing? It is Tuesday, August 13th, 2019, and we're back in Tennessee. I feel like I just left Maine, but I hope everybody's doing good. Looking forward to a great evening of chatting. Got some interesting things to talk about tonight. And as you guys come on board, and if you want to do some chatting, if you do, put in the bar or in the line where you guys are from so we can talk about that. I'd like to see where the audience is tonight. Well, we had a great time in Maine last week when I talked. I was so excited. I had like 3 pages of notes I wanted to talk to everybody about, and only discussed a couple of them. Matt Lowe, how you getting along? I'm doing great. How you doing, Matt? Thanks for popping in. We appreciate it. Man, we came home to some pretty darn hot weather today. I think it hit 96, 97. Justin Turner, my bro from Maine. This is a Maina. Yeah, I'm pronouncing it right. Good to have you, brother. And we came home to really hot weather. When the whole time we were in Maine, I think maybe 85. I think it might have hit 88 one day. It was really pretty moderate comparing to Nashville, Tennessee, and Florida. It's brutal over there. But today was really up, really high 90s. And our guys are putting in a unit today. And man, it's 135 degrees in an attic. So, yeah, Matt, you're right. It's been ridiculous heat. You better believe it is. It's just crazy over here. But welcome to Tennessee, right? If you don't like it, wait 15 minutes and maybe it'll get even hotter. But we got a hellacious rainstorm this afternoon. I was at my shop, about 3:30, quarter to 4, at somewhere around there, maybe 4 o'clock. And I heard some rumbling. And all of a sudden, bam, the clouds got gray, the sky got gray. And I mean, it came down. Honestly, the winds were blowing like a tornado. They were going all sideways like that, and it was pounding the roof of my building. So usually when you have super hot heat wave like that, it spurts ridiculous rainstorms. So fin fishing. Hey, how you doing, man? Tell me while I'm talking, tell me where you're from, Robert Porter. Oh, you asked, hey, Robert Porter, thanks for coming on board. You asked last time if I've ever been catfish noodling. No, I haven't, but let me say something about that for a minute. On July 4th video, before that, we had prefaced it with a video telling you, hey, look forward to July 4th. We're going to go out to a farm in just on the other side of the line in Kentucky. And friends of Jack, they go to our church, and holy mackerel, this dude does noodling for catfish. But we had another 2 ridiculous rainstorms that the place was so muddy that you couldn't get down to the river. But that's as close as I got to catfish noodling. And you live in Knoxville. Nice to have you on board. And Justin says, yeah, welcome to Maine. Don't like the weather. Wait, yeah, you're not the only place. Tennessee, I think, changes so radical, it's ridiculous. It's a miracle that the weathermen still have their job. I don't get this. The way I tell the weather is when I tell my guys, we'll wait till tomorrow morning. When you get up, that'll tell you what the weather is. I can't really depend a lot on the forecast. I look at the radar, but sometimes, it changes, and only God knows where the weather's going to go. And fin fishing, you've got almost 800 subs. Cool. That's the name of your website. And tell me where you're from, fin fishing, also, and what your name is. But glad to have you guys on board. I want to continue talking about Maine. I figured it was appropriate. Let me angle this down a little bit. It was appropriate to wear one of my Maine t-shirts if I'm going to be about Maine tonight. So I wanted to be in style for the meeting tonight. But Maine, we left off that we went to the Fry House. Oh, wait, that's for Justin. And we went to the Fry House, and that was great food. Hans and Debbie. That video is doing fantastic. It's getting so many views, well over 300 in one day. So it's moving along really good. GVS, my bro from New York. GVS, what's going on, brother? Glad to have you on board. I've been out of pocket the last 2.5 weeks. You weren't on last week, but I went to Maine on vacation, me and Amy, and I feel like world travelers, man. We put on I've never been in an airplane so long like that, from Tampa to Bangor, Maine, and back, and then back to Nashville. Oh, my goodness. It was a little wild. But I hope you guys are keeping up to all the Maine videos. I'm producing them. I'm editing them every day. There's quite a bit involved. I use 2 different cameras. So there's quite a bit involved piecing things together so we have a good flow. But there was just so much to take in over there. I think one of the points I left off last week, you were nothing much working. Yeah, I know that feeling. I know that. And one of the main tributaries in Maine is the Kennebec River. It's huge, huge. It looks like a 1/4 mile wide at the point where we were, and that's in Augusta. And that's that, and I think there's one other river that might be bigger. I don't know the name of it. Justin, if you know, you let me know. But anyway, that empties out obviously into the Gulf of Maine. And I'll tell you this fact: when we were, I don't know if you guys will see this on the second striper fishing video. I got it coming out this Friday. But when we were going on in the Gulf of Maine, and we were on that lobster type of a charter boat, we were heading to the grounds where we're going to catch Atlantic mackerel. It was just it was an eerie sight. I've seen this once before in a different way, and I'll tell you. But when I looked out in the horizon at the land, we were probably a 1/4 mile off the land. It was like 6 foot up. It looked like a wall of fog as far as your eye could see up this. This was the Kennebec River draining into the Gulf of Maine. And for a wide, almost like a big T. And it was just really tall, really thick. And I'm saying, look at this, where's this coming? And then after talking to the tugboat captain, Captain George, this guy was real good on sport fishing charters. He told me that we were in Booth Bay when we were in the Gulf of Maine fishing, that the water is so cold coming from the Kennebec that the condensation. I mean, I'm in HVAC. I know when heat hits the cold, it condensates. And let me tell you, it was tremendous fog. It was beautiful. And you could feel a little bit of cool. But in that part, they call it the Devil's Corner, is really some violent current. The river's flying down, and it's coming pounding into the Gulf of Maine. It's going in one direction, or depending on the tide, and it just collides. And you really got to have the right boat, and you got to know what you're doing there. So that kind of rules me out in that situation. It was all brand new water, so it pays to really do checking on what before you go out fishing on a charter, or you want to take your own boat. Do your homework. Your life could be in the balance. But that's the Kennebec River. It's beautiful. And what I learned also about the striped bass over there, unlike where I'm from in Tennessee and in New York, well, in New York, they go all the way up the Hudson River, Salmon River, the Ausable. They're all up in there, Pulaski, all over the place. You got striped bass. They come up, they migrate up in there, I guess, after bait and to spawn. Well, the striper there are totally a different breed. They're very lethargic compared to their cousins south of Maine. Let me tell you, I fished in Cape Cod, in the Cape Cod Canal. I fished all the way down into Tennessee, down into Florida, and even the stripers in Florida up in the rivers. These guys bang it hard, really hard. If you guys ever caught, some of you freshwater guys, if you ever caught a white bass has got a lot of punch behind it. Well, some of the striped bass, they interbred and they call them hybrids. Fabulous eating. It's a striped bass through and through. but mixed with a white bass so that they could reproduce. And it was a very successful marriage, very successful merger there. And they produced millions and millions of little hybrid all over the place. So we catch a lot of hybrid and stripers, but they just pounce on the bait. They smack that bait so hard, and that's the action of a striper, to disorient the bait it's going after, get it where it's just la la in la la land. Then they come in and they just slurp it down. But let me tell you, it's been a totally different experience. First, they took the Atlantic herring, was about 8 to 12 inches long, cut it up, chunked it like we would do for redfish and other fish, of course, shark as well. Just a little. I think they were using a 5 or 6-aught circle hook, not or maybe a 4-aught. It wasn't even really that big. And they were going after schoolies. In Maine now, the limit is, I don't know the limit, but the minimum size is 28 inch. I don't know if they let you keep more than one. I know in New York they changed it to 1. Tennessee is still 2. 16 inches, the minimum. And there's no length. There's no maximum length. But you don't want anything real super big. They're real fatty, and you want to keep them for breeders. But anyway, the striper down there, they told us throw the bait out. So we just winged it out there, just live, like a live liner. Just sailed it out there and just let it free line and just let it wash in the current and just settle to the bottom. And then just every now and then just pick it up a little bit. And then they would pick it up, the stripers. They weren't pouncing on it. Ahmed Ali, hey, Charles, I'm following your channel. From Saudi Arabia, hey, man, how you doing? Man, that's a treat hearing from you. Good to hear from you, brother. And I don't know, if you got stripers where you are, but I'm sure you got things that hit as hard as a striped bass, but they're just, compared to their cousins, all I can say, very lethargic. But once you get them on, they give you really a good fight. And the ones we caught were 22 to 26 inches. So it was real fun free lining for them. It was a totally new way of doing it. And this particular captain said where he fished in the Gulf, that artificials didn't work at all. Now, I talked to some other captains, just for your information. I checked on river charters, which are probably 5 times to 6 times the price. And they set up in the Kennebec and the other rivers that they're loaded with striped bass. And they really go after artificial. They'll walk the dog with a spook or some other rapala or whatever. And they have a lot of success, just like I'm used to. So I guess Captain George wasn't aware of that, or just doesn't choose to fish up in the rivers. He fishes out there. So you got it. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So, but Maine, there's just a lot to talk about. I have a notepad here where I keep in my notes so I can tell you guys. But the Kennebec, it was really awesome. Some parts of that Kennebec River, let me tell you, were over 100 feet deep. And it's a saltwater river as it comes in, and then it brackish, and then it goes to freshwater. Obviously, it's a freshwater river, but as it enters the salt, it mixes, and then it goes in there, and then all that condensation. So it's just a cool sight, really, really cool sight. Another thing, just something that you guys to think about, and Justin, you can correct me too, bro. In all my travels there, I could count on less fingers than one hand how many McDonald's I saw. I'm not joking on fast food. It is so underpopulated with fast food, which I'm very happy to say. I was glad to see that. I am happy, though, that there were Dunkin' Donuts all over it. You've got to have that. So let's put priorities where they go. But the fast food chains, I was really happy not to see a lot of them. They have the Texas Roadhouse and others there, but the fast food hamburger chains like McDonald's and others, I just didn't see a lot in that area of Maine. So it seemed to be, maybe, I don't know necessarily behind the times, but I think it's just forcefully they're protecting their own. And I like that. Montauk, Long Island is just like that. If you go there to fit, no big box stores all out. There's no Home Depot, no Lowe's. There's no Walmart, believe it or not, guys, in Montauk Point. It's a small community, and these people support their own. I really like that. It's an expensive area. It's got a really expensive where you rent hotels or else if you want to just like a year. I forget what that's called, but those they are pretty pricey. But we stayed at some reasonable motels there on the water, and we'll go to the Montauk Bakery, just local yokos making the scones that look like stinking what do you call cream puffs on steroids. Because as you'll see in some of the videos that I'm making now from Maine, the scones that are up there, just like here, this one place, Mama's Bakery, did like an 8-inch pie cranberry amaretto scone, and that was the biggest one I've seen since I've been out of Montauk, and it was just delicious, right down the road from Sprague's lobster place. So it was real cool. Changing time, 2 trips, but yeah, on this trip in Booth Bay Harbor, when we went on our first striper, Amy really wanted to go. I didn't know if I should push fishing that much because it was a vacation for me and her, and it was just fun to get away. It's always good to do that. But she really wanted to go fishing, and good. I only needed one, and now I was on board. I just need a little push, and I jumped right in. But that particular trip was the first time she ever caught striped bass. She caught 3. She tied me on the boat. Me and her got the top honors on the first trip. We caught about 12, I think 12 or more on the boat with 6 of us. And we had a blast from a family from upstate New York, above Niagara Falls. But we really enjoyed ourselves. Amy really, I mean, she went nuts with the striper. And then on the second trip we went on, I was the only guy to catch one, and they were small. It was totally different. It was the next to last day on the 30th. We went back on another striper charter in Booth Bay Harbor. And that's a great fishery, by the way. That's the reason why we picked that. We were told from many sources, Booth Bay is a great fishery. And the price, I couldn't beat it, $80 for 4 hours. Come on, he supplies everything else. You just bring your eats. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. I would do that any day, anywhere. But if I did a half a day in the rivers, they wanted $500 to $650. I said, "Now forget it." And then all day was like $850 or $900. So that was cost prohibitive. That was cost prohibitive. I didn't want to waste that kind of money on that to catch the same fish. No, it wasn't worth it to me. I didn't know. I thought maybe going up north, rates are a whole lot different than they are down here in Tennessee, and that was. But with Captain George, he's got a good thing going there, and he's always booked. He takes 6 people at a time, so he makes a nice little mint, and he does 2 trips a day. So sometimes he does night ones, so he's got a good thing going. Some of the trips, and when we went out on the water, we took a lot of ferries in all the different towns we went to. I think we took like 5 different ferries. The reason we took ferries was, and if you guys go to Maine or go to any nice coastal place, if they offer ferry rides and they're reasonable, take them. That's the first thing we did, so we could see the whole coastline of that particular community. We could experience the water there, the people, and the food, and just see sights, see houses, see how people really live from the water. You're looking in. You see a lot of private residences that were really nice. We saw a lot of beautiful things there in Booth Bay. One thing that we saw in all the waterways, the proliferation of lobster traps. Now, I didn't see the traps, but everybody knows what a bowling pin looks like. Well, their buoys are like that. That signify there's a trap below. They tie a string, a twine all the way up. And these waters, some of these are over 50 foot deep, and they got lobster traps there. And these lobster traps, if I remember right, are 3.5 to 4 feet long, roughly 1.5 to 2 foot square, the long rectangles. And they got 2 openings in them, I think, where the lobsters go in. But what's funny is that these buoys, I'm telling you, are all over. No, there's no rhyme or reason. They're all over the place. They're scattered across the whole bay, all the way out, even into the Gulf. It's unbelievable. I didn't think they went out that far. And the boats that I have, if it was driven by a jet boat, he could go right over them and he wouldn't hurt them because it's no propeller. But most of the other boats, I mean, the dudes got a narrow passageway. And I said that in one of the things, that one of the ferry rides, that is a very narrow channel, meaning it's a very narrow passageway in between all those buoys. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. And again, I'll reiterate, because for you guys that maybe weren't with me last week, the law is currently in Maine that there's over, I think there's almost 7,000, if I got somewhere in that ridiculous figure, of lobster fishermen just in Maine and in those waters. And they are each allowed 800 traps. You can do the math. It's like, if I did that right, that's like 800, that's like 560,000 traps, if I did my math right, catching multiple lobsters. And this is just one area in the world that has lobsters. I learned so much on the history of the lobster that when Sprague's taught me a lot, Frank, the grandfather, the owner there, he sat in that booth, the building to the right, when we went there to have a lobster dinner. We picked out our lobsters. He's the one that was sitting in that big boiling cauldron where he would, at once, his helper would pick the lobsters out of the coolers, there, whatever size you wanted. They'd put them in a net and then immediately drop them in the boiling water. So it's instant, game on for lobster for us. And he told me that the migration of the lobsters is they come all the way inland, all the way up, miles up these rivers to molt. They molt once a year. And you'll hear that in the videos from, there were some real informative talks on some of these ferry rides. They pulled up lobster traps and they gave some really good history and lingo that the lobstermen use, but they call them a lobster pot. They don't say a lobster trap, they say a pot. So there's just different words among the lobster fishermen on how they identify what they do. But in any event, when they pull them up, we learned that first, if it's an adult female and it's egg bearing, that they got a notch, V-notch in the tail, just a little V-notch, and put it back in the water so that any future lobster guys catch it, they'll know, leave it alone. It's an egg bearing female. From what I understand, not all the females lay eggs, if I have that right. But they come up in the rivers and they molt. Now check that out. They drop, they let go of their, I would love to see that happen. They let go of that hard shell that's on them. And when I was in, it was in Booth Bay the next to last night, we ate there. And you'll see a thing say live steamers and crabs, lobster steamers and crabs, whatever. That's where, when Amy, that night I wore my lobster, the lobster doo-doo. She went and opened up the tail out, and she opened it the correct way, and it's just that it was loaded with green poop, and pow, went all over me. So that was just a little funny moment there. But at that particular place, I saw in the tanks, it had HS and SS in some tanks. I didn't know what that meant. So after asking the guys, soft shell, hard shell. And I said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? He says, listen, when they come up, they drop their hard shell. Now, depending on when they catch the lobsters, here's the deal. When the lobsters come inland up in the rivers, I guess to spawn, late, drop their eggs, they just drop them in the water, hundreds of thousands. That first they molt, and then they have a soft shell, but the soft shell looks identical. There was no difference when I looked at them, I guess when you feel it. And the meat is sweeter, and there's not as much meat in them when they have molted and they have a soft shell. But when Frank told me, when they get back in the fall and they get ready to go back into the ocean, they make their fall migration back into the ocean, to the cold waters, to the deeper waters, lo and behold, their shell turns hard. So God has it all figured out. Everything is in order. There's no surprises, but it's really, what's cool about that. And they said if they left the lobsters, the law is that every 2 or 3 days, the fishermen have to go out and check all of their 800 traps. I mean, think about how much they got to be on the water, at least once every 2 to 3 days. And they said if they, one of the ferry rides when we were in Kennebunkport said that if they're left too long in there, that the lobsters would eat each other, they're cannibalized. So that was another fear, that they didn't want that, and they didn't want to ruin the population. But the law is changing there, like I said last week, that they're proposing to knock that trap limit from 800 to 400 now. So lo and behold, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But the lobsters were absolutely beautiful. We handled them. The big claw, the thick, big claw, it's called a crusher claw. The other one is the pincher. It's more elongated and narrow, and it's a pincher claw. So the way that the lobster operates is they would catch their prey with the crusher claw. Obviously, the name crusher, they crush it, kill it. The pincher claw would go there and just start taking it apart and feed itself. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Like a lot of other animals, like the squid and others, they do that with their tentacles, and they feed themselves. But we went when we went to Maine. We flew into Bangor. The reason we went to Bangor, and I didn't mind going there. It's called Bangor. The reason we went to Bangor, Maine, was that we took Allegiant out of Tampa, and Allegiant now flies direct out of Nashville. The reason we took Allegiant was that first, it was really inexpensive airfare. The days when they came in were perfect. So I flew down to Florida on that Sunday afternoon. The next morning at 9:30, we were on a flight going to Bangor, Maine. So it was great, and they were flying Mondays and Wednesdays, which fit our schedule perfect. So we booked it for 10 days there, and we stayed at a Homewood Suites, and it was just awesome. So that's how we ended up in Bangor. I did not see any other sites in Maine that it flew to. So from Bangor, if you guys get a map, we went 77 miles southeast. I told Amy within 100 miles, she's anal about hotels. They got to be fairly new, clean, all that nonsense. Us guys, you know how we are. It's got a bed, it's got a pillow. I'm all over it. That's it. So, and I haven't really had any bad experiences. So I can't say I'm speaking, like Amy. She's had bad experiences. But in any event, we drove there 77 miles. And then from Augusta, we decided just to do the coastline. So we went a little northeast to Bar Harbor, which is really nice. I'm giving you these sites. If you look it up, the activities are quite a bit to do there. There's always trolley rides. That is really nice to see inland, and we did that in Bar Harbor. We went up to Cadillac Mountain, and you'll see on that video the beautiful landscape out there. There's islands all throughout Maine that just proliferate the coast of Maine, and people live in these things. Most of them are inhabited. And there's really thick, tall pine trees on them. Some people own the whole islands. It's a different world, but it's beautiful. And so we take those ferry rides. And so anyway, from Augusta, we would go to Bar Harbor. We went down, I got a note here, Portland. We went to the town of Portland, Maine, which was nice. It's a little bit dirty. It's a old town like downtown New York City, downtown Nashville, the tall brick buildings like 3 and 4 and 5 story, the old brownstones. But they converted all with the new fashions, a lot of dresses, a lot of stores there for the 20 and 30-year-olds. For the girls, my wife loved it. We went from store to store to store. Great eats. That's a really cool diners. We went in one, I don't remember the name, but it said everything was caught. All our food is from the land. We don't farm nothing. We catch fresh beef that was, everything organic, in other words. So we went in this store, in this little diner. There was a hamburger joint, a glorified hamburger joint. And let me tell you, so we ordered some great hamburgers they were excellent, organic, grass-fed beef. And they weren't much, like $7 to $9, depending on how we wanted them. But then there was something that was really cool. They had eclectic type food, and we had eggplant meatballs. Never had that before, but it was over the top. So we had some cool, every place, there was just some things that's how you learn. You get well rounded in life when you look at other cultures, how other people eat, they dress, they live. It's just nice. It's just nice. And you pick things that you like, that you want to adapt in your life, and other things just let go. But in Portland was real nice. One thing I didn't like, Portland, holy mackerel, the parking was atrocious. A lot of the public parking lots, first of all, there's no place to park there. You really got to drive quite a ways away before you can go in the streets and park. And then you can walk, but who wants to walk 20 blocks? So you go to any of the public parking in those parking lots, and they're $7 and $8 an hour. That's a lot of money, I think. That's a lot of money. At the end of the day, I mean, if you want to park for all day and just do it, it's $45. It's a lot of money just for parking for the day to, give up for parking. So I thought that was atrocious. We did find a parking garage, and even that was $6 an hour. That's the cheapest deal we could find. So that was a con. I got to say that I think was a little bit over the top for parking. But the ferry ride that we took in Portland was excellent. Excellent. Again, we saw a different type of terrain. Every harbor we went into, and they call it, I think it's Frenchman Bay or something. They're just different names. And they even have one island called Long Island. Not obviously nothing like Long Island, New York, but every place we went, there was different type of rock formation. So in one, and I don't remember, I want to say it might have been, it wasn't Kennebunkport, it was another one. It was real beautiful, but the cliffs were every bit of 60 to 80 foot cut jagged rocks all the way up, and then the land and the houses. Man, you were up there, and some majestic, beautiful mansions. Really, really beautiful. So just that's a thing we saw that was different. Every place from Bar Harbor, Portland, Kennebunkport, Rockland, we did it in. That's four. I think we did another one somewhere else. Everyone was totally different terrain, but it all made the jagged rock coast of Maine. It was just a beautiful place. I advise you guys, if you ever want to see a good taste of the Northeast, go there. I think you guys would really like it. It would be a nice adventure for you and your wife, or you take your kids. It was nice. We only scratched the surface of what Maine has to offer. It's just a beautiful one. We were going to go to Nova Scotia. Didn't have enough time there. It was just so nice. The places we went to Freeport, the home of LL Bean. I forgot that it was the home of LL Bean. I did a video on that, and just beautiful. Just the mountains. They got a lot of tall mountains there, and everything is covered like fur with all these tall pine trees. Very nice. Very, very, very nice. Bar Harbor we went to. That was very touristy, as I expected. And you didn't want to fall into the tourist traps. I mean, even buying T-shirts. I went to a lot of shops before I found good quality that after I washed them wouldn't shrink and I couldn't put them on. So I looked around a lot for that kind of stuff. We shop. I went to get stuff for the grandkids and all that good stuff. And for both of us. So we went around and looked, and they varied. There was a big difference in a lot of different shops. Some really good ones in Booth Bay in one, and then just across the street in others, there was a real cheap stuff. So you really had to hold back and say, whoa, let me go slow. Going back to work. Hey, buddy, GVS, good to see you, and God bless you too, man. Have a good night. And but Bar Harbor really was nice. We did the trolley ride. I'm reading my notes here so I can get my thoughts right. We took a trolley in Bar Harbor. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. That was really nice. It was about a 30-minute ride up. I mean, honestly, it's like this. Going up there. I don't know how this trolley keeps doing this, but it was great. And when we got up there, holy mackerel, how many people had their cars up there? And it's just like whenever you go to a mountaintop, it's a tourism thing. People stop along the way, stand on the ledges and take pictures. Absolutely breathtaking. When you see the pictures there, that beautiful blue-green water and all these furry little pods, which are islands, you could see probably 30 miles out, maybe even more farther than that. I think it's more like 30 to 40 miles out. You could see from that vantage point. And that supposedly is the highest mountain in Maine. But that was a really good one. And the trolley drivers, they're pretty good. They're straight up, they're nice, they converse with you, and they really know their stuff. So they didn't treat us like ignoramuses. They were nice, and we went back and forth. Hey, watching from Alaska, my second home, DM Goss 21. Nice to have you, brother. Tell me where you are in Alaska, too. I'm glad to see that. I got another guy, Ahmed from Saudi Arabia, and you're from Alaska. I got Knoxville, New York. We're going places here tonight. And my buddy, my Mainer friend, Justin Turner. So we're covering the world tonight. And another place we went to was Kennebunkport. Now, another thing, Kennebunkport has a lot of history to it. One of the main reasons I went there, I remember the presidents went there, and then after we're doing research, it's where George Bush, he owns 10 acres on an island. It's ridiculous. On the jagged rock coast. His isn't a tall one. His is low. And this is in Kennebunkport. And let me tell you, that is the North Atlantic, guys. This is not going in any old little bay. These swells are long and deep, and there's a lot of water moving there, 50 feet to a couple hundred feet deep out there. In no time, there's a ledge there, and it drops off. So this is some serious water. This is the North Atlantic. Juneau, way to go, man. I lived in Eagle River, Alaska for 4 years, 82 to 86. Juneau is the capital of Alaska, by the way, guys. And also gets fogged in so much that it's because of fog, it impedes the air traffic to get to Juneau. So you got to get there when it's on a good, clear day. But good to have you, man. I hope you're enjoying the videos. And I hope you guys are all subscribers. I'm really happy to have you on board. But Kennebunkport was cool. When we went there, I was like a little kid. I mean, I wanted to see it. I never saw pictures, but obviously George Bush, the whole family is multimillionaires in oil. But he built 10 homes. He's got the biggest one on the point, and you'll see it in the pictures. It was beautiful. It was nothing like New England architecture. I'm glad for. New England architecture looks like it's vinyl siding, that thickness, but it's all thick wood slats like hardy board. And just there's stout houses. They're built to withstand that rough climate, the salt. But George Bush built houses. I imagine that's like what the Texas homes are like, but just beautiful big home his with fireplaces out there. And everything is fenced in so nobody could fall off into the rocks. And then he built like 10 other houses. He's got a lot. His brothers live over there. He's got a house for Secret Service. He's got a house for his maids. So, I mean, when you get wealthy like that, you can do stuff like that. And then as we went further up the coast there, they were pointing out that one house, this is the owner of Fruit of the Loom. He's got, I guess, a summer home over there. And then another guy owns one of the big Molson's Ale, or one of the big breweries, the big German beer companies, has a home there. Then they were saying on the other side of the bay, Rachel Ray has a home up there. Taylor Swift has a home up there. Let me tell you something else I saw that I never saw this before like this. They have beaches there and people were going in the water because the water, they said, was pretty warm. They were getting a warm spell. Believe it or not, it's all dark gray, grayish brown sand. So how do you like that for a beach? I'm used to clear water. I mean, it's so white it'll blind you. And Sarasota, beautiful white beaches, but not there. Totally different beach. When we were in Kennebunkport, I said, let's just drive through town. So we did. Then we came up to a long road that went right alongside the beach. It was up above it. It was on a beach wall that was all out of steel ramparts. And it was all parking curved there. So we parked and we just sat on one of the benches and watched everybody. I mean, it's 8 foot below and then it all the way out the sand to the little cove. And we were just watching them, enjoying the sights. It was We looked like two old fuddy-duddies, but it was nice. It really was nice. But Kenny Bunkport is beautiful. In some of the pictures, you'll notice, and I thought this was, it should be framed. We're coming to a T in the road, and you see a signpost where normally you would see, hey, like this way, say a name of a town. And they had signs, one on top of the other, all the way down, going all different directions on the one pole, all different. I thought it was so cute. There was 2 or 3 of them like that. That was so touristy. I just took a picture of that. I thought that was nice. But that I saw in Maine. I know other places do that also. But in Kenny Bunkport, we ate at a restaurant called the Pilot House. There'll be a video coming on that. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. All I can tell you. In my whole time there, I did not eat bad food. I didn't even have a dish I didn't like. I'm really being honest about this. I stuck with seafood, obviously. I had lobster, maybe not every day, but every other day I had it twice a day at lunch, and I had it for dinner. And I could have ate more. It didn't bother me, didn't come up on me. I must have ate quite a few pounds of butter. It was just, guys, it was so fresh. I mean, the lobsters were live right there. It was so fresh, caught right from the salt water. It was beautiful. They weren't farm raised. There's a big difference, big difference. So when you buy your seafood, you've seen other videos of mine on Munchie Mondays. I always emphasize the fact that whether I buy at Walmart, I buy at Costco, I go to Sam, wherever I go, even a fish market, I have to read the fine print. If it says farm raised, adios amigo. I'm not eating it because it's all bloated. World supporter checking in. Nice to have you, brother. Let me know where you're from too, because we're making everybody identify. We're covering the world. We got Alaska. We got Saudi Arabia. This is awesome. This is awesome tonight. But the lobster was nothing less than superb everywhere we went. And on an average, £1.25 is the lobster dinners. Let's check this out. $19.95 to $23 was a full dinner. The dinner consisted of £1.25 lobster. You get a nice corn on the cob. Obviously, if you didn't want that, you get something else. New Jersey, hey, another one of my old cronies. Nice to have you on board, brother. And we have that, coleslaw, and then fries, or you could substitute. We substituted a Caesar salad one time, but we tried to stay off the natural pitfalls like fries. I don't need that. I didn't go to Maine to have fries. I didn't want to eat. We didn't eat hardly any junk. We didn't eat any junk food. We had more lobster than I ate in my entire life. I never saw so many lobsters, and I never wanted lobster so bad. But when you got it staring at you in the face, man, you can eat it. And it was just good. It was good. Everything was boiled. I learned a lot about that. And before I get some lobsters in, I'm going to call my buddy Frank at Sprague's Lobster, and he's going to tell me exactly how long to boil it, how to treat the water, because you don't want to ruin a good animal like that, a good fish like that. So the lobster, we got taught how to crack the shells. You know, one of the videos you'll see, if you watch the Sprague's Lobster, you guys will really get a hoot here. I filmed Becca breaking a big lobster, like a 3-pounder. And I never saw this before. She comes out there with a freaking rubber mallet. So what are you doing with that? She has a blue shop towel, put it over it, and you have to, bam, bust that shell. There's no nutcracker around that's going to crack that thing. I know some hard heads out there, but this one takes the cake. I just never saw that before. I mean, she's wailing on that thing. And she busted it, and that's how you pull out the meat in gigantic chunks. And once you learn how to crack it just right, you can pull out the whole thing in one big piece. Just beautiful. So, and that's where I ate my biggest lobster, was 3.54 pounds by myself. I'm proud to tell you, and I wish I ate a bigger one. It was so good. I'm not joking yet. I have no regrets. I ate great. Listen, they're not loaded with cholesterol like other shellfish or crustaceans. As you'll if you look it up, they say, watch out, really heavy in cholesterol and all bad stuff. Not the lobster. Lobster is rated extremely high in protein, good protein for you, and all good stuff is in a lobster. I don't have the whole thing in front of me. All good nutrients. And there's my honey. How you doing, babe? I know she said she was going to check in. She's working late tonight. But my wife can attest to this. She's under my name. My wife just loved the lobster and as much as me, and that's why we got two lobsters for dinner. We didn't share too much. It didn't pay to share. It just you got to when you get into it, you're gonna get messy. You're gonna eat that lobster, and I'm telling you, it was delicious. It was just fantastic, and the fixins, all the other stuff, it was good. I got a little bit of southern flair there, but it was very, very nice. And but overall, every place we went, I mean, that was obviously their specialty lobster. You see shacks on the side of the road. You'll see some other videos that are coming now. We ate at another place called McLaughlin's Seafood on the way to Bangor. And like my wife says, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And she says I should share. Yeah, well, that's against my religion. Not when it comes to good food like that. We're on vacation. You get yours and I get mine because I was all about it. Thank God the one night I ate the 3.5 pound lobster. Man, she was already full, ate something. I gorged on it. And I want to tell you, that was the biggest tail. When I pulled the muscle out, I would say about 7 to 8 inches long and about 3 inches around. It was gigantic. I didn't take anything home. There was no take home. We ate everything there. We scarfed it all up. And it was really good. I had a good night's sleep every time. So some food, if you eat too much or if it's like I just made ribs this week, pork ribs. You can only eat so much or you will get sick. It's just too much of that. When it comes to lobster, it's a different animal. I don't think there's too much of a good thing. There was a funny thing. I told this once before. It was really funny at Sprague's Lobster. At the end of the night, they close down at 8 o'clock every night. I believe they're open every single day. So at 8 o'clock they close, and we were there one time. We were still eating, and they were closing up and cleaning up the place. It's an outdoor place where you sit. What was really funny was I saw another older gentleman come, and he just walked in. He parked his car, walked in, and started helping them clean up. And I asked, I said, "Who's this dude?" And he says, "One of their friends." I said, "Really?" And the next thing you know, he was sitting down and eating a couple of lobsters. And so it's like having a couple of hamburgers. It just is so plentiful. And the amount of lobsters that come in, they said that of all the eggs that are let loose in the rivers and when they spawn, about 5% actually live to be full grown lobsters. And we have a plethora of lobsters there. That's the best word I could say. There's an overabundance of lobsters. It's just tremendous. If you guys were there and you wanted to take some live lobsters or even frozen, they're $9 a piece. I think they were $9 a pound. How do you go wrong? Everybody can have a 2 pound lobster, $18, and you can boil them at your house. So if we had the ability to do that at the hotel, I would have boiled some lobsters if we did. But they had a grill outside, and the grill looked really funked up. I didn't want to touch it. I wasn't going to put any of my food on that. I didn't like the looks of it. Other than that, the place was absolutely tip top. So Amy, I love you. You did a great job in picking out a good hotel. You made a believer out of me. But guys, all of this I'm saying is what a vacation is all about. It's fun. These are experiences. And as the year goes on now, we're going to be doing fishing adventures, whether it's here in my home state now, Tennessee, or my second home state of Florida. I've got boats in both places. I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to bring you guys in with me. And listen, I'm asking all you guys that are on, even my buddy from Saudi Arabia, my other buddy, all my guys, all my friends here from Alaska. Send me your pictures of your catch. It'll be great. I want to put it up in our Instagram. I want to post it and with your name on it. I really would like to have you guys do that. And you can, if you want to correspond, I hope you guys are never offended that I have comments. I started on that preface, no comments. There's just a lot of nonsense out there. Got to go and look for it. All right, Mr. World Supporter, thank you, bro. Thanks for checking in, and all the way from New Jersey. All right, buddy. We'll see you on the next one. But there's just a lot of, you wouldn't believe, even with the emails, some of the comments that only I see. It's just ridiculous. They're just not nice. And I don't want to do that and ruin our time together. I don't want to do that. So I want to stop talking about Maine for a second. Next week, I still got another page and a half of good stuff that we did there. And the pictures, the memories, that's what it's about. Just making memories. So don't let life get by you guys. Enjoy it. On our fishing Fridays, I want to talk a little bit more about tackle. And when you go out there and you're going to survey a new piece of water, don't just go like airheads. Don't be an airhead out there. Just go out there and just wing it. Don't do that. Fishing's so much fun, and if you put just a little bit of effort, you can get a lot of return for your money. It's really worth it. I'm not joking you. And I'll make it as simple as it can. I'm self-taught because nobody wants to teach in this world. There's always an ulterior motive. I don't have one. I want to grow the channel with you guys, and I want to go places with you folks, and I want you to enjoy what we enjoy as a couple and as a family. But I thought, in the world of fishing, I want to do this all the time. I want to give you some things that are happening. I read something today, a news flash. I want to read this. There was a woman in Washington in a fishing derby, and she was in Fox Island. So I guess there's a bay there or whatever. And she owns a fishing company called South Sound Salmon Sisters. Check that out. So while she's in the derby, she saw another boat catch what they call a Pacific octopus. Okay, fine. You've seen, I did an octopus video. I'm going to do more. Well, and this is a live one now, mind you. So she asked them if they didn't want it, if she could eat it. And then she remembered, the derby, they want pictures of all, the tournament requires photos. So she couldn't do that. So she says, can I take a photo with it? So she did. Are you ready for this? I don't know what possesses a person to do this, but she took this flipping octopus, it wasn't a big one, and put it on her face to hold it there because it has suction cups. Now, I don't want any animal like that on my face. So she put it on her face, and check this out. She said, hey, take a picture. So she took a picture. And in the process, first of all, you know how an octopus eats? He has a beak that's inside there. Has a really sharp beak. He nailed her twice in the chin with that beak that she was screaming, got it off. For 30 minutes, her chin was profusely bleeding. Now, I think that lady's going to think twice about doing something ridiculous like that. That's all. It's the nicest politically correct way I could say ridiculous. To put a live octopus on your face, no less. Maybe your arm, but your face. And he's got a beak in it. And he did self-defense. He didn't know what was going to happen. So Mother Nature can't mess with it. Then I got another story. Check this out. In Norway, they said this week 8 million salmon were killed by a surge of algae in Norway. Florida is trying to recoup from almost 6 to 8 months of red tide, which is an algae. It's an algae bloom, and it suffocates all the oxygen out of the water. And that decimated hundreds of thousands of fish. There's tons of fish. I have my opinion on these scientists and these guys that sit behind in these glass towers in these laboratories and come up with all these facts and figures. When the ocean's a bigger place than all of us, all the land could fit in the oceans and still have enough water. And they seem to know the amount of salmon in the world, the amount of smelt in the world. I don't know about that. I got doubts about that. But 8 million salmon were reported killed by a surge of algae in Norway. So it's not, I thought it was just here. I never heard of red tide before until I saw Amy in Florida, and I started fishing there. I never knew about that. And it's a yearly thing that comes in the fall. Well, anyway, I guess it's other places too. And these died. I don't know what type of algae, if it was the same type of bloom, I don't know. And then I'll give you one more tidbit, and we'll end with this. In Asia, You're going to love this. I didn't know how to do this, but I'm going to post these pictures on the community board and YouTube. But I saw a picture of a great white shark in Japan that choked to death. You ready? He had a giant sea turtle in his mouth, sticking out of his mouth. He choked to death. Must have got stuck. Can you believe that? Trying to swallow that sucker whole. A great white shark. It was a disgusting sight, but a great white shark choking to death on a large sea turtle in the waters off Japan. Isn't that amazing? So, guys, oh, there's Amy, crazy octopus story. Yeah, that crazy. It was idiotic is what that is. So you have to be insane to do something like that. You have to leave your common sense way behind. That was a dangerous move. But guys, I love you. I love every one of you. One of these days, I haven't done it yet. We're gonna do the live chat, but we're gonna go on a Zoom. I'll send you the link, and this way I could see everybody. You could be wave. We could talk to each other and see each other. It just make for interesting conversation. But I love having you guys on board. This has been great. I look forward to this. I don't really have to worry too much what to talk about. I'd like you guys to ask questions too. Please feel free to do that. This is an open forum, and what can I say? I sent out all notes today. Say it's Maine time. I took a picture when we came out of Fry House. I said, man, I want to get a close up of a Maine license plate. I like them. They call it vacation land. It is. It is vacation land. It's awesome. And Amy and I are definitely going back. That's the Canadian wilderness because Maine is, when you look at it, it's gigantic how big the state is. I'll give you one fact and see if you can swallow this. Maine is gigantic, really, it's just huge. But all the 13 states, New York, all the New England ones that came over and then started our great nation. The Pilgrims started all these 13 states. They all fit into my buddy who lives in Alaska. All of New England fits inside Alaska. Just to give you a little perspective, how big the greatest state probably in the world is, how big it is. And it's on the most northerly, westerly part of North America. And if you go to Nome, all the way on the west coast of Alaska, 90 miles across that ocean there, you're in Russia. So give you another perspective, just how big it is. When we fly from Nashville it takes about 5.5 hours to get to Seattle. It's a hop, 2 flights. Another 5-6 hour flight from Seattle. It's like 5,500 to 6,000 miles from the East Coast all the way to Alaska. So we've got a great, big, wonderful country. When you guys get a chance, my wife likes my Maine shirt. Thank you, honey. I like it too. That's why I'm wearing it. Just a t-shirt. But I'm a t-shirt guy. I love t-shirts. If you get a chance, pick some place in America. Really respect the country you live in. I know I'm talking patriotic. This isn't a pedestal for me. I'm not talking politics here. Take care of it. Take care. We have the greatest country in all the world. That's why everybody in all the world is coming to our shores. And we want to protect our country on all levels. And that's all I want to say. I want to tell you, I love everybody. Thanks for hanging with me tonight. We did 58, 59 minutes. This is awesome. And I'm looking for pictures from all you guys. I hope you guys are hearing me. I want pictures. Please email it to, let me give you my email address. Let me see if I can do this right. It's fishhook2019 at gmail.com. Please send me stuff. I will post it in Instagram. We're almost at 1,200 subscribers. This is just beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. We went live with our first one February 26th, and we got great cooking ones coming in. We're not done with Maine, all the foodie stuff, and we got a lot more good foodie stuff we're going to be cooking. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet. So we got some, me and Amy are going to be doing some cool dishes, and I'm going to be doing dishes up here in Tennessee as well. So, and we'll have guests coming on board. We're going to be introducing, and I'll talk to you about a new set of pots and pans, a company that we really believe in. We went to see them with Jack, and there's a video coming on that. Jack's going to get that out here in the next week or two. He's out on vacation this week in the Bahamas. He took his future daughter-in-law and his son and him and his wife. So they're having a great time if they're watching. I want to tell you, I hate you, Jack, for having a good time in Bahamas. This is Tennessee, so I'm sure you're having a wonderful time. But guys, thank you again. God bless everybody, and we'll see you next week. If you're not a subscriber, if you're just browsing, please smash that subscribe button. Be part of our family. I welcome everybody. I welcome all your input. I do listen. I do reply, and really appreciate all you guys. Kevin Campbell, tell me where you're from before I get off the air, Kevin. Really appreciate you checking in. Hopefully you've been watching all this time. Everybody listen, I don't see everybody that's really tuning in. It's just the people that want to interact, and I appreciate that. But Kevin, if you're still on board, tell me where you're from before I put the kibosh on it tonight. But I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I'm doing this for the love of fishing, the love of outdoors. San Jose, California. Way to go, brother. Way to go. Man, we got the whole country covered. San Jose, I got my wife. She's in Florida. I got my buddies in New York and New Jersey. I got all the way up to Alaska and all the way out to Saudi Arabia. I'm sure I missed some other places. This is awesome, man. Awesome. Stuck in Cali. Hey, listen, if you're going to be stuck in California, you pick the nicest place to get stuck. So really good to see you. And Kevin, if you didn't hear it, please, if you got great pictures of good catches, because you got the Pacific Coast there, there's a lot of really nice stuff. I follow a guy that lives in San Francisco called The Fisherman Life. I look at him, he's a single guy, and he catches some Cali and all other kinds of really cool fish. It's nice to see that. But send me some pictures. I'm going to post it on Instagram. I'm having a blast with this, and I don't know what the future holds. I'll do this as long or as much as I need to do it. I want to interact with everybody. And maybe one day if I'm in your town, you come fish with us. We'll see you guys. So again, thank you for the second time. Thank you. If you're new to us, subscribe, be part of it, be part of the excitement. We got a lot of good things coming. And guys, I will be looking this Friday for a new video on a second striper charter we took out of Maine. That was great. We're on a high from Maine. I love it. I went there with great expectations, came back with great memories, and with a desire to go back again with AIM and to redo it again and do it at a different level in a different part of Maine. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. God bless.